students, you're welcome to government class. With you today is Ms. Wokoma Tamino, and today we'll be looking at the theme, Concepts and Principles of Government, and we'll be considering the topic, Capitalism, Part 1. And at the end of this lesson, I expect that you should be able to state the basic types of economic system, you should be able to define the term capitalism, and also examine the different features of capitalism, as we'll be looking at. A brief introduction. In the world today, we have different systems being used by different states and countries to regulate how people and businesses make and manage these different businesses in that country or that state. And this system used in regulating such is known as the economic system. Let's take a look at the definition of what economic system is. Economic system is an organized way a state or country carries out its production, resource allocation, and the distribution of goods and services. Note that in distributing these goods and services, they take note of the places where such goods are in high demand. I'd like you to know that this economic system has different types, and they are being practiced by different countries, like we had said. But in the course of this study, we'll be looking at the basic types of economic systems that are prevalent in the world today. They are capitalism, socialism, communism, and the mixed economic system. These are the economic systems that we can actually see more being practiced in the world today. Having seen these different types of economic system, let's take a look at capitalism and what capitalism means. The term capitalism is also known as the free market economy. A free market economy is an open market where the entrance to the market is open to as many sellers as possible. As many individuals that want to come into the markets, own businesses, sell fixed prices, and also make profits. The market system is open to you. And so we can say capitalism or free market system. Okay, so let's go back to the definition. Capitalism or free market system is used to describe an economic system in which the means of production are controlled and managed by private persons or businesses for the purpose of profit. So it means that these businesses, these industries, these factories, these mills that you see in that economy that is practicing capitalism, they are mostly owned by private persons or private organizations. Let's see another definition of capitalism. Another definition of capitalism is an economic system in which individuals and organizations, like we had said, private organizations are owned by private persons or private individuals. And so this capitalism is an economic system where either the individuals or private organizations are allowed to own and manage businesses. And not just own, they also control the economic resources in order to make profits. So with all of this, it is key that capitalism deals with individuals or organizations, and then they are being allowed to own, to manage, and also control these businesses for the purpose of making profit. Let me take you back to know a little history about capitalism. This economic system, capitalism, in 1776 had its principles proposed by a scholar known as Adam Smith, which is a Scottish economist, through his book or in his book known as The Wealth of the Nation. And afterwards, in the 19th century, capitalism as a concept became popular by a philosopher known as Karl Marx. So it came up through Adam Smith's book, and then Karl Marx made it popular to the point that different nations, they're adopting capitalism. Capitalism actually came of age during the period of Industrial Revolution. after the period of slave trade, where humans were used to carry out different forms of labor. In the late 18th century, the economy of the New World began to witness a change and a shift in their economy, which moved up to the point of shifting from the hand production method, where humans were used to carry out production, to the machine production method. So that was the period where Industrial Revolution came about. We can see here at this point, humans were being used to carry out these productions. But now, by the late 18th century, we can see that machines were now used to produce. And one good thing at that point was that goods were produced at large scales, but at very low cost. I'd like us to have some few points to note about capitalism. In capitalism, like we have established, private individuals are free to own and manage resources. Now, these resources include lands and capital. They own the capital with which they used to start these businesses, and then they still own the land through which they used to get about their production. Let's take, for example, the US is an example of a capitalist state. And one of the individuals we should know is a person like Bill Gates, who is the owner of Microsoft. He had the capital and even the land, so it tells you he had the resources, including labor, because, when you talk about resources, you talk about land, labor, and even capital. So he had them. And in operating his business, he operated his business with one motive behind, which was to make profits. And in making that profit, he's still being allowed to use that profit in any way he likes. So in capitalism here, the government actually doesn't have a hand in the individual managing his or her resources the way he wants. The individual is allowed to manage the resources and then take up any form of business you want as you desire. Another point to note is that private individuals play the key role in capitalism. They make these decisions concerning the economy. And like we all know, every economy has problems. And in trying to solve those problems, certain questions must be answered. In capitalism, those questions are being answered mainly by the individuals. And what are these questions? They answer the questions of what to produce, or what do we produce to bring about a change in our economy? How do we produce? What method do we use in producing? One thing to note is that capitalists always adopt methods that will bring a low cost to them in production, but bring a high level of profit to them. And so they consider that in deciding on how to produce, and then lastly, for whom to produce, getting to know the people to produce what they need. For whom to produce is a key point that is based mainly on consumers' preference. So they take it towards that area of people that have high needs for whatever they are producing. So like we said, the individuals have the resources, they have land, they have finance, they have all that they need to bring about their business and make profits at the end. Another point to note is government interference. In capitalism, government interference is very minimal. It's limited. The government really doesn't have so much say or so much restrictions on the economy and even the activities of the economy being carried out by these individuals. The government has roles to play, although, such as they make and maintain laws and regulations. These laws and regulations they make are to ensure that the free market system are not being manipulated. They are not corrupt or influenced. People do not bring in things that are illegal into the free market system. For example, in Nigeria has an agency known as NAFDAC, which is a government ministry. What it does is that it checkmates the goods that are being produced for consumers to ensure that they are healthy and they are safe for consumption. You see, so that's one part the government plays. They come in to make those laws, put up those policies in order to safeguard the free market. And also, they get involved in the area of taxation. In as much as they don't tell the individuals what to do with their resources, they come back to get tax or collect tax from these individuals based on the kind of businesses they run or operate. And also, the government promotes the manufacture and sale of homemade goods or indigenous goods. Those are goods that are made within that country. What they do, they ensure that they promote it. It's being sold. In Nigeria, we have Nigeria Export Promotion Council. What they do is that they ensure that the homemade products are exported, and they are more exported than even the products that are imported into the country. However, through this, the government brings about income to these individuals. In all of these, as we have seen, that the government does, these roles the government plays, yet the government does not control how these businesses are being managed or run. Now, this capitalism we've looked at has some features. There are certain characteristics you will see in a country or in a state for you to know that this country or this state is practicing capitalism. Some of the features are private ownership, freedom of choice, profit motive, minimal participation of the government, and competitive market. Let's take them one after the other. Private ownership. Of course, you should know this by now. It simply tells us that ownership of these businesses are largely in the hands of individuals who are free to own and manage any property or business like as they desire. Another feature is freedom of choice. In a capitalist system, people, individuals, workers, and even consumers are given the freedom to choose. Now, what do they choose? They have the freedom, well, first of all, to own whatever property they want to own, to also use whatever properties they want to use as they desire, on the point of legality, meaning it should be on a legal ground. And then they are also free. Workers are free to work in any place they so desire. For instance, you find out that in capitalism, more than 20 persons can go into a particular business. Let's say, for instance, restaurants. And as an individual, you want to choose a job or you want to work in a restaurant. And you go to restaurant A and you're not comfortable with the different policies in restaurant B. Capitalism gives you the opportunity to go to another restaurant, probably restaurant B, to work. It gives workers different opportunities to choose from. And also, it also helps consumers buy whatever they want to buy and use whatever properties that belong to them just the way they want. For instance, in a capitalist system, if I sell wristwatches and Mr. B also sells wristwatches, and you come to the market to buy, you are not compelled to buy my wristwatch. You can decide to buy mine, and if you're not okay with it, you leave it and you get from somewhere else. So you have the freedom to buy whatever you want to buy with your resources. And those who own properties, to use their properties in whatsoever way they desire. So that's one feature of capitalism. Another feature is the profit motive. In capitalism, the entire essence of going into this business, owning and managing this business, is to make profit. So it tells you that most capitalists that go into businesses have at the back of their mind the motive of making profits. Now, goods and services are all produced for the purpose of making profit. And so because they want to make profits, they try to put in different efforts. They try to work hard in order to step up their game, have better products, and thereabouts bring profit to themselves. And so they carry out their investments in places that will bring profits, one, and then they carry out innovations on products that will also bring about profits in one way or the other for them. And they become hardworking, all in a bid to increase profit. That's exactly what happens in a capitalist economy. Another feature of capitalism is the competitive market. Capitalism as a system operates a free market system. This free market system is one that allows individuals to earn profits, to also fix their prices as they desire for their different products, and it also allows them to sell, to buy, and use their properties just how they want to. And so in this form of market system, you see a lot of people who come to buy and sell. It's one where a large number of sellers offer identical goods or products at competitive prices. It just tells us about how, in capitalism, one key point there to note is that it always comes about with competition. You get to see many sellers selling a particular product, but maybe different brands, all in a bid to compete with each other. And like I had said before, because of that bid of competition, the producers of these goods and services try to work hard in order to gain an edge over their counterparts or their rivals and increase their profits. Let's take, for example, a transport company. This is transport company A, B, C. Competition comes about when they do same thing, when they carry out same business. You find out that in such cases, the prices of their products are low because most times when you increase it, people will shift to an alternative good or product. Let's take, for instance, company A, company B, and company C are all involved in the transport company. You see that in order to gain more profit or step up their game, some owners of this company could fix in air conditions. Some of them put in televisions just to make their customers comfortable and also to gain more customers and then gain more profits. Remember, we said in all they do, profit making is their motive. And so it tells us that in capitalism, competition is always present, which enables producers of goods and services to work hard in order to still remain in the market. Another feature is minimal participation of government. In a capitalist economy, government involvement in the economy is very limited. All they do is probably to make policies to ensure that the market system move uprightly and in line with the regulated laws prevalent in that country or in that state, and ensure that that market system is not corrupted or influenced negatively. Another role the government plays is collection of tax from these individuals or business owners to bring about development in the economy. And so when they take this tax from these company owners or these business owners, they use it to produce good health care for the citizens, good roads, education, etc. And so it also brings about development in the economy. We've come to the end of today's lesson about capitalism or on capitalism. But before we go, I'd like us to have a quick recap on all we've learned today. We talked about economic system and we saw it as an organized way a state or a country carries out its production, resource allocation, and the distribution of goods and services. We also saw the four basic types of economic systems, which are capitalism, socialism, communism, and the mixed economy. And after that, we looked at capitalism, which is an economic system where the means of production are being controlled and managed by private persons or businesses for the purpose of profits. After which we saw different features or characteristics of capitalism, where we looked at private ownership, we looked at freedom of choice, we looked at profit motive, and then competitive markets. We're going to take a quick test just to know how well we understood our lesson for today. The question: which one of these is not a feature of capitalism? Take note. Which one of these is not a feature of capitalism? A, poor government participation. B, competitive markets. C, freedom of choice. If you picked A as your answer, you're correct. Because in capitalist system of government, you have a minimal participation of government, not a poor participation of government. Of course, we all know we have competitive markets as a feature, and we have freedom of choice as a feature. I'd like to say we've come to the end of this class. See you some other time. Thank you.